Hey guys, welcome back to Just About Average, and the topic of today is going to be whether you should be paying off debt or starting to invest in your 401ks, IRAs, stuff like that. Before we get started, I do want to mention I have done a few previous videos on how to cut down your monthly expenses. I would recommend doing that first before you start working into this stuff, just because that is free money you're giving away. And so it doesn't take much time. You can cut that out in a day or two. And then what we're going to be talking more about today is going to be what to do with that money once you stop giving it away to these big companies. But let's go ahead and get started. A lot of times it seems like this would be a cut and dry, either pay off debt or just start throwing in investments. And it's really not completely, one or the other. You really have to break down and figure out what kind of debt you have and what kind of investments are available to you. What I would recommend is I would go ahead and get a copy of all of your debt that you have, any car payments, house payments, student loans, credit cards, any debts that you have, and actually lay them out on a piece of paper and show how much you owe on them and what your interest rate is. And take a look, because most of the time the average you're going to be getting percentage interest back in your 401ks, IRA, stuff like that, is going to be usually about 7 to 10%. That'll vary year to year, but that's pretty much the rolling average. And so you need to look and really see if what debt you have that have an interest rate that is higher than that. A lot of times that's definitely going to be your credit cards. A lot of times those are over 20% interest, and so anything that's really over that 7%, or anything that has a pretty low balance that you can pay off pretty quickly, you should go ahead and take care of first. A lot of times, people talk about how you need to match your 401k, your employer, stuff like that. And that's always a good idea. You can do just the number that your employer is going to match, so you don't miss out on what's basically free money there. But a lot of times that's not going to make a huge difference in the short term that's going to take to pay off the debt you have, depending on how much you have, to just go ahead and cut out those additions to your investments in order to pay off some of this credit card debt. Because if you're making 7% back on the money that you're putting in, but you're paying out 25% on your debit card or on your credit cards, then you're overall actually losing money. So you're better at directing all of that money straight to those credit cards and get them paid off. And then once any of that those high interest credit cards are paid off, I would look and see any that are lower interest, but are only a couple $1,000s, something like that, something that you can pay off in the next month or two, and I'd go ahead and take care of those as well. I wouldn't focus too much on stuff like your house payment or even student loans. You still definitely want to pay on those, but if you're paying a 1 to 4% interest, you're going to be better off actually putting that money usually into your investments and letting that grow. I would just take some time, break it down, see what's going to work for you, and in the end, one thing to really consider, though, is if you are paying off your credit card debt, stuff like that, make sure you're not adding to those credit cards. It's not going to help you if you're throwing money towards them if you just keep adding it back on every month. So make sure that you really, really get your spending under control before you start making those payoffs. And if that's something that you 100% know you're not going to be able to do, then you probably are better off dividing your money over into your investments where it's not going to be accessible to you, and leaving those credit cards for now until you can get your spending under control and start working at actually chipping away at that debt. But if you have any questions, or if you found any value in this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Comment down below for any questions that you've got, and feel free to subscribe to see future videos. Thank you, and have a nice day.